Congressman Steve King from Iowa is a horrible person. That's pretty well known at this point. He's always saying like racist things and hating on immigrants from his bully pulpit as a member of Congress. But he was shaking in his electoral boots about a congressional opponent who could possibly take him out of office and get his ass unelected. Then a funny thing happened. A bunch of violent white nationalists who support Steve King started issuing death threats to the woman who was running against him, Kim Weaver. The violent intimidation got so bad that she withdrew her candidacy from the race. Here's what she said in a statement about that decision. Quote, "After much deliberation, I've determined that the best decision for me is to withdraw my candidacy for the U.S. House race in Iowa's 4th Congressional District. Beginning during my 2016 campaign, I've received very alarming acts of intimidation, including death threats. While some may say enduring threats are just part of running for office, my personal safety has increasingly become a concern." Death threats. She's getting death threats because she chose to put her name on the ballot. She also cited personal health issues in assisting her ailing mother in the full statement, but up top front and center is the fact that Steve King supporters think it's okay to threaten the life of a congressional candidate, and that's why she's no longer running. So where did they get that kind of flagrant disregard for human life? Well, I'm glad you asked. Here's what Representative King tweeted in response to her statement ending her candidacy. Quote, "I wanted hashtag Kim Weaver in the race, not out. Democrats drove her out of the race, not ours. Death threats likely didn't happen, but a fabrication." Wow. You're a dirtbag, Steve. No, "I'm sorry to hear about your mother," or gracious statements about her exit from the race? Nah, he's just like, not my fault she got death threats. She's probably a liar. What, is her mother not really sick too? She need to bring you the medical bills to prove it? Steve King's just a horrible, horrible human being, and he doesn't belong anywhere near a position of responsibility in the government. Look, when we got newly elected members of Congress who body slammed journalists on the night before the election like in Montana, and now death threats against Democrats that are so vile that people have to remove themselves from the ballot like in Iowa, we're entering a whole new type of politics. You see this in other countries where strongmen encourage their supporters to intimidate people at the polls, and fights break out at the polling places. Voter turnout goes down as people become afraid to vote, but the election of these violent racist fascists starts to become more and more common. Is that the country we want to live in, America? Because we already have a treasonous white supremacist in chief living in the White House. Do you want the people in Congress who represent you to be like little Donald Trump mini-me's? Because that's who Steve King is. He represents the worst kind of politics and ideologies that belong in the dustbin of history. But if we're going to flush his ideas down the drain, then we need people to run against horrible human beings like him and beat them at the ballot box, no matter what their opponents say or what threats we face. I'm Ryan Clayton. This is Content News. Come back daily for the news where we're free to share the truth.